Welcome to Peter and Ruffy's football show, sponsored by Indigo Communications. I'm Peter Martin. Alan Ruff, Tam McManus and Alison McConnell are here with me. We are back. The full team is here and we're delighted to be back. Monday night football starting with Celtic Hibs. We're looking forward to it.
I think everybody's looking forward to it after the wee layoff there, particularly these two teams who have brought in a lot of new players, and I think the fans going to that game tonight they'll be really excited when they see the team lines because they'll be expecting to see a lot of new players on the park.
Yeah, we've got lots to talk about. We'll hear from Ange Postecoglou. We'll also hear from managers having a rant. Robbie Nielsen's one of them. Also, Stephen Glass will be speaking to our reporter Andrew Shiney, who's up there in the northeast, looking forward to Aberdeen against Rangers. And of course, the transfer window remains open, Alison. So clubs up and down the country are hoping that there are a few more new faces in there to try and alter where they're going to finish in this league in the second half of the season.
Yeah, you've still got a fortnight to go, just a bit over that. I think there'll be a few more comings and goings at various clubs. I think it's an ideal opportunity. I think it's a difficult window to bring players in, but it's an opportunity just to give you something extra just getting into the latter half of the campaign.
Yeah, I'm delighted that Tam is with us as well. You've enjoyed your break, Tam. We missed you, by the way, didn't we, Ruffy?
Yeah.
We've definitely missed you. You've got a new haircut, again. And you've got all the gear on for all your mates. You're like a walking sponsorship show.
Yeah, well, the guys who've been inspired obviously give me some clobber, but no, great to be back. Listen, I've missed Big Ruffy in particular. He's my man, but no, looking forward to the game tonight. As you said, I think that a lot of new signings there. You know, Sean Maloney, the first two games, very, very open, very attacking. I don't see him changing it tonight at Parkhead. So I think you've been for a right good game tonight.
Yeah, we're going to talk about that in greater detail. The team are back with us as well. Tam Cowan, Hugh McDonald as well, and Charlie as well, because there's no way we're selling him, by the way. We're keeping him. There's a lot of people concerned on here, but we're sticking by Charlie Adam. He's one of the troops.
We're quite a strict organisation. He's got a yellow card.
And slightly more, but nevertheless, yeah, absolutely. Anybody who hasn't sinned, cast the first stone. Dare I say it, we've got a team of sinners on here, except Alison. except Alison, who's one of the nice ones. But anyway, apart from anything else, we're really looking forward to you giving us your opinion as well. We've got competitions coming up. I have to say, I'm going to give a mention, Ruffy. James Lindsay won our Xbox, and I delivered it personally to his house, and he was absolutely ecstatic. A nice wee pick-me-up for him and his family after Christmas.
Did you get the feeling it was going to be for him and not the family, or is he going to share?
No, I think he's going to share? James had that look as if he was going to share. He's a big Rangers fan, so he'll share it out with the family. They'll all be in there enjoying it. Nothing better, Tam, the competitions that you can win T-shirts, we can merchandise, and we're giving away Xboxes. We've got an iPad to give away next week.
Tremendous. It shows you if you tune in, you might pick up something nice, and to get that Xbox for James was from Christmas coming early for him, so great for him, but there's always competitions on the go at PLZ.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, let's cut to the chase and let's set the tone for what's going to happen in the second half of the season. There's going to be lots more one-to-ones, great competitions, and some very special features that I hope you will enjoy. Let's have a look at the Premiership fixtures and what's on offer over the next two nights, because there's a full card. Celtic Hibs tonight, Aberdeen against Rangers, Dundee United St Mirren, there's Hearts against St Johnstone, Livingston are at home to Dundee, and Ross County are at home to Motherwell. That's what we've got to look forward to. Celtic against Hibs is mouth-watering. The place will be absolutely rammed, jam-packed, and a chance for Celtic to reduce the gap at the top to only 3 points with this one.
I think it's crucial now. I think Celtic, in the gap that exists at the top, frames it as a must-win for every game that they're going into. There's no safety net at all. I think it adds another layer of pressure now, knowing where they are in terms of their league position. I think they'll see it as an opportunity, one, to try and close the gap, and then just put a wee bit of pressure of their own on Rangers ahead of Pittodrie tomorrow night. Yeah,
and of course I'll save you the problem of Ideguchi, Hatate and Maeda, but I think that's the real attraction for Celtic fans heading to the East End. They want to see the new signings.
I think definitely. I think whenever a team signs new players, you're desperate to see what they're like. I think first impressions are always telling as well. So if they guys come out tonight and play and make a good impression, then the fans will take to them straight away. But I think it's exciting for Scottish football in particular to get these players over, because you see the impression that Kyogo's had. And I'm sure if the guys, Hatate, Maeda and Ideguchi, if they can have the same impression as Kyogo, then the Celtic fans will be ecstatic and they'll give him a real boost.
Yeah, it was interesting listening to Ange Postecoglou, Ruffy, because what he was quick to emphasise is these are good players. This is not, I have 4 Japanese players. He wanted to emphasise it was individuals who were brought there all for their own qualities. This is not a collective, although they'll be asked to play as a collective in the team.
Yeah, well, we didn't know anything about Gyogo when he came, you know, and I think he's put a wee bit of pressure on the 3 of them, because, I mean, the standard that he's set, I think a lot of supporters will go there tonight thinking, oh, well, if we've got him, if these 3 are anywhere near what he is, we're on a winner here. But so they'll have to go out and produce it, obviously. You know, it's a different, they might find it's a different style of football for what they're used to, but that remains to be seen. We'll just have to wait and see.
Yeah, and of course, with those signings, I think the new Celtic chief executive, Michael Nicholson, has certainly endeared himself to the supporters. And Ange Postecoglou was quick to praise him for the work that they've managed to do very quickly in this window.
I'm working really well with Michael, and not just Michael, other people, as you said, the board and other people within senior management. Again, they've been very supportive of me and my vision. You know, ultimately, I'll be the one taking responsibility for what's happening in the football department, and for me to kind of have the best chance of success. You know, I couldn't do it without that support, and you know, Michael has been integral in that.
And Celtic fans must have been rubbing their eyes, Alison. They can't believe they've got signings in, you know, at the start of January. It's just unheard of over the last 17 years.
Yeah, I think there's no scrambling about in the last 48 hours of the window. I think there was a clear communication between the manager and the boardroom. There was a clear identification of the players that he wanted. I think, crucially, that they fit into the financial structure at Celtic, and I think also you had 3 players who were very eager to go to Glasgow and make the move to Celtic. And I think sometimes people underestimate how difficult that can be. 1, getting players that fit into the correct financial parameters, but 2, also players that aren't hedging their bets to see what else might come and that have a want and a willingness to go to the club.
Yeah, he says that's the dealing's over with, but do you get the feeling that he's maybe trying at this point now to get a deal in place for the likes of a Jota or a Carter Vickers?
Yeah, I think it's definitely a consideration. I think Carter Vickers might be easier to do than Jota. My own personal feeling, and I'd stress it as nothing more than a feeling, is that Jota might want to sit tight until the end of the season. I think if he's played particularly well in a loan deal, I think he might want to just sit and assess what other options there are come the end of the campaign, and there may even be an option to go back to Benfica. So I think that there'll be a willingness on Celtic's part to try and get it done. Whether or not the player is as eager to formalise something, I think is maybe another matter. Yeah,
news out today, Scott Bain has extended his contract until 2024 at Celtic. And just before we get to talk about Hibs, the downside of something that we've been predicting for months on this programme, sadly, Tam, is the demise of Lee Griffiths. It looks as if Celtic are going to wash their hands of him. I don't think there's any way back to Celtic Park now. And it's a big question as to whether Dundee are even going to keep him beyond this January window.
Yeah, listen, it's sad. I think that a guy of that ability, you know, it's a sad the way his career's ending up. You know, he scored a lot of goals for Celtic, won a lot of trophies there. But I think over the last 2 or 3 years, he's let himself down off the park. I think that he's off the park demeanours have caught up with him. I think you've had 2 or 3 managers in at Celtic who have warned him, you know, repeatedly. And he's not took heed of that, and he now finds himself without a club. So it'll be interesting to see if Dundee do come in for him. I know Dundee, it was quite an expensive deal for them with Celtic. Now he's a free agent. You know, he scored a cracker against Aberdeen, I think, his last game before the break. So maybe Dundee will take a wee flyer on him. But, you know, he needs to get back fit again, you know, proper fit, you know, look after himself and get the most out of the last 3 or 4 years of his career.
Yeah, sometimes I wonder, Ruffy, all the people that are your mates at the time that are dragging you down or maybe influencing you, you wonder where they're going to be when times are hard and you don't have the spotlight, you don't have the money. And as Tam said, you know, how long has he got? He certainly doesn't look fit.
No, he doesn't. I mean, there's no even a question on that. You can see the modern day player now are real athletes, and if you throw somebody like that up in with people who are like that, you know, you can see it right away. There's no doubt he's got the ability. As Tam said, that free kick he scored at Aberdeen was absolutely superb. But I keep saying it all the time, it's got to be up here. You know, that's what it's got to change. And sometimes we've seen it down through the years. There are 3 or 4 players who you just can't get through to, and their career just peters out. And it's a shame, because when they stop playing and they realise what they're giving up, that's when they'll get the shock.
Yeah, okay, it's against the Hibs side led by Sean Maloney. Sean Maloney is the 4th of 3 other players who actually played in Celtic's Seville squad that have come back to manage against Celtic. Can you name the other 3?
Jackie McNamara.
Yeah, we'll take McNamara. I don't know the other 3.
Neil Lennon.
Neil Lennon's another one, yeah. I was trying to think of it's the third one that's scuppered me. I wonder if you can think of one, Ali. I know what you're doing right now. You're going through that 1 to 11, aren't you? To try and come up with someone. I was thinking, and I don't think Stubbs.
Paul Lambert.
Well,
I think he would have been.
Livingston.
Livingston.
It's a possibility, yeah. Yeah, I think
Well
Lambert
done.
might be the
Well done.
last one. Well done, Tam. Are you happy with yourself?
Oh, yeah. I love a quiz.
You get
I love a football
five
quiz.
bonus points in the
Yeah.
league table for it.
I absolutely love quizzes as well, Tam. So Maloney, I think he was talking about discipline, or the lack of it, that he's inherited, because suddenly you get into the game, Tam, and Hibs, Ryan Porteous, Paul McGinn suspended. Obviously, Harry Clark's picked up an injury, which is a real blow. You've got other players there. Ewan Henderson can't play, and the boy Melkerson looks as if he's a wee bit off. So it's really about Chris Mueller, maybe. Is he up to speed to get a run out?
Yeah, I think he's been training hard in Easter Road. Obviously, he didn't sign. He couldn't play until, I think, his contract at Orlando ran out, I think, January 1st. So he's been in for a couple of weeks now, and he's been training well by all accounts. So I think you might see him at some point tonight. That young lad Tate, who came for Raith Rovers, has been impressive as well. Unfortunately for Harry Clark, he picked up an injury. I think he'd have slotted in at centre-back in place of Porteous tonight. So you've got Rocky Bushiri, the lad they've signed on loan from Norwich. So there are a lot of new players coming in. Been interesting to see how Hibs line up. We said at the start, the first 2 games that I watched with Hibs playing, very, very open. Beat Aberdeen, beat Dundee United, but played in an open style, an attacking style. I don't see Sean shying away from that tonight. I don't think he's the type of coach that would go to Parkhead and park the bus. I think he'll go and have a go. Whether that's stupidity or no, we'll find out at the end of the game. But I think it'll be a very, very open game, a lot of goals, and I think it'll be exciting as well for the Hibs supporters.
There's a wee sniff that Dundee were looking at Christian Doidge and Scott Allen. I can't quite work out why nobody fancies Scott Allen now. There's clearly something either to do with the diabetes or a worry over the health, because he's such a quality player. When he comes in, he makes an impact.
He is a quality player, but for me at the minute, he's a bit of an impact player. He's a guy you can bring on for 15-20 minutes. At the start of the game, if you're playing a high pressing game, I don't think Scott's really got the legs for that. But his ability's unquestionable, and I'm not surprised that clubs round about the bottom of the league would be looking to see he can get us, he can get us win games and creating chances. So, Scott is at an age now where he wants to play every week.
Yeah.
I don't think he's going to play every week at Hibs. So he maybe look at it and go, Dundee, St Mirren, teams like that, I can go and play every week. And Christian Doidge, I don't think Hibs would let him go. He gives a different option.
I'm quite excited about Hibs because I think Maloney and the type of player that he'll be looking at and the type of footballer he likes to play, it could be a good couple of seasons for Hibs.
It could be. Listen, I was at Tannadice. I know Dundee had a lot of players missing, but the way Hibs played, knocked the ball about, I think it's 70-75% possession.
Yeah.
Everything was played out from the back. I think Celtic will go and press Hibs high tonight. So it's whether Hibs are good enough to play out from the back under that pressure. They're coming up against a completely different animal. No disrespect to Aberdeen and Dundee United. Celtic tonight at Parkhead. Will we have the bottle to come out and play that way? Well, we need to wait and see, but I think it's exciting times for Hibs supporters.
I've got Celtic 3-1.
I think Celtic might just edge it. I think I've went for Celtic to win 2-1, but hopefully Hibs can get a result.
Ali?
2-1. I said Celtic to win 2-1. I think Celtic will prevail because they have to, but I think it'll be a difficult game. I think if you look at it from Hibs' perspective, it's as free as it gets. I think people aren't expecting anything other than a performance. They want to see you go and have a go, and I think Sean Maloney's a very clever coach. I think he's tactically astute. I think he's very articulate. I think he'll get his message across. I think he communicates very well. I think he's clear in what he wants in terms of the demands of his players and how he wants them to play. And I think he'll ask them to go and be brave and on the ball and see what they can take from it.
Yeah, Ruffy?
Yeah, I've went Celtic 2-0, but I think when you're off for 3 weeks, we've seen it numerous times. Some teams come back and really get right into it, and some teams don't. So for me tonight, it's all about getting up to the speed that they had before they finished.
Yeah, thanks to so many people who are on our live stream on PLZ Soccer's YouTube channel. Lots of great messages, people just delighted to have us back, and we are very happy to read out as many of the nice messages as possible. We certainly read out more than a few on Friday from our live broadcast then, but we're delighted to have you back with us. Don't forget to hit the subscribe button, and if you hit the notifications, you'll get all the updates on when we are live. And we've got some great interviews up there. A one-to-one with Gordon Strachan, incidentally, where he looks back over his playing career. Aberdeen, Manchester United, Leeds United as well, not forgetting Coventry, and some of the managers that he's worked with, Billy McNeil, Sir Alex Ferguson, Ron Atkinson and Howard Wilkinson, to name but a few. Some great stories and some nice emotional touches in there as well when he reflects on his time with Tommy Burns. Well worth it. Okay, so that's our predictions on Celtic against Hibs. What about Aberdeen against Rangers? Well, Stephen Glass has been talking today. He's had a wee rant, clearly because maybe Jamie McGrath doesn't fancy moving to the Granite City.
All our targets that we want players, everybody we're looking at, we want players that want to come and play for Aberdeen, see the profile that we can give them, see what the club offers, and see a game like tomorrow night and think you want to be a part of it. I think there's a pressure to being an Aberdeen player that's not for everybody. So it's we'll get the right people in that can help us.
Yeah, well, that was a wee dig.
That's as angry as I've ever seen Stephen Glass, to be honest. I think Jamie McGrath's performances for Ireland of clubs like Hibs and Aberdeen, I think he's put them out of their reach. I think he was excellent for Ireland. He was playing, yeah, honestly. I watched the games. I spoke to Stephen Kenny after the game. He's really, really happy with McGrath's performances. So I can see him getting a bottom end Championship club or a top end League One, and I think they blow Aberdeen out the water in terms of finance. Wow, Andrew Shiney is our man in the North East, and we always like to get Andrew's take on things, especially ahead of an Aberdeen Rangers game, which is mouth-watering, Andrew. But Jamie McGrath, performance is maybe too big now for Aberdeen and Rangers, Aberdeen and Hibs, I beg your pardon. What's your take on that?
I think I've got to go with what Tam says. Aberdeen and Hibs just can't afford the finances that can be afforded down south. Even in League One, we'll look down our noses a wee bit at the third tier of English football, but they blow us out the water finance-wise. So I think if Jamie McGrath's got the chance to go there and line his pocket, and let's face it, football is a fickle career. An injury could finish you tomorrow, and you've got to try and look after yourself and your family. So I don't blame any player that goes chasing a bigger pay packet.
Yeah, Andrew, in the first half of our campaign, it was kind of a up and down. When we were here on a Monday, we never knew whether we were going to get you in a good mood or you were on a complete downer. But in the second half of the season, surely, Andrew, Aberdeen are going to get it together. Do you get a sense that even though he's obviously going to try and bring in more players, do you get a sense that we're going to maybe see an Aberdeen side playing more to the tune that Stephen Glass wants?
Well, that's the $64 million question, isn't it, Peter? I mean, we've won 4 out of the last 5, and that's a vast improvement on that dreadful run, sort of September, October, early November time. So, yeah, you'd hope that the squad is a bit more settled and they'll play better football. But I'll tell you, as an Aberdeen supporter these days, you go into every single game thinking, I've no idea what's going to happen here.
Yeah, I don't like picking Aberdeen too many weeks, Ruffy, on the predictor, because as Andrew's mentioned there, sometimes you just don't know what they're going to deliver.
Yeah, but I think they're a lot better than what they were 3 months ago when they were hovering down near that relegation zone, and because they were inconsistent. But they seem to have got their act together and winning in important games. And we saw with this league, if you win a couple in a row, you can go up. I'm expecting a lot more for them this turn of the year. I think they have been playing some good football, but I do think he needs some players like McGrath or whoever, just to strengthen what he's got. Yeah,
what do you make of the current squad, Andrew, and what he has at his disposal? I mean, what are you expecting in the 2 weeks and that window's open? Has he given a clear insight that there are other players on his radar to strengthen the Dons?
He doesn't give anything away, Stephen. He straight bats every bit of speculation and says, I don't talk about players that are at other clubs. But we do obviously need a playmaker. If Ryan Hedges is going to leave the club, and it's starting to look a little bit more like it could be in the summer rather than in this window, but you need somebody that can unlock a defence. A Scott Allen type player. Now, I don't know if Stephen would be willing to take a gamble on Scott Allen because, as Tam says, his fitness levels aren't such that he can't play 90 minutes of a high pressing game. But my goodness, he can pick a pass. And, you know, that's the key to winning games, isn't it? Having somebody that can unlock a defence when, you know, as long as you're keeping things tight at the back, if you create one open chance and you take it, you win the game. So I think we probably need a bit more up front. Marley Watkins is out injured for the foreseeable. And I don't really see too many players on the books at Aberdeen at the moment that could take that type of role on. Conor McLennan, perhaps. Matty Kennedy is back fit again now and will be part of the squad for tomorrow night. He could be reborn and, you know, he is a good player. There's no getting away from that, but he hasn't shown it nearly often enough. So I think the problem is finances are tight. And to buy quality, you have to pay top dollar. And I don't think Aberdeen are in that market at the moment. So I don't really foresee huge changes to the squad. We just want more consistency out of them.
Yeah, absolutely. Always good to hear from Andrew on Aberdeen. Thanks to Andrew Shiney. He will obviously keep us right up to date with what happens at Pittodrie tomorrow night. And you can actually read about it and get the interviews from that game on PLZ Soccer's website. Great to hear from Andrew. Of course, they come up against the Rangers side. I mentioned that Giovanni van Bronckhorst can do no wrong because hasn't lost a game. And suddenly, you know, he's looking at a team that he hasn't really been in any way weakened by the departure of Nathan Patterson because they've got more than enough cover there.
Yeah, I think the Rangers supporters will be delighted that Van Bronckhorst has come in. Obviously, he missed the semi-final against Hibs, but apart from that, he's been imperious, won every game. And listen, I think they've been superb. They've been consistent. I think they've got a really, really strong squad. Still think they've got a stronger squad than Celtic. And I think that could pay dividends over the course of the second part of the season. But you know, the main thing for me was I've got Morelos firing. You know, Morelos looks to be working harder. He looks a bit fitter. You know, and that could be the key at the end of the season because Morelos, you know, he bangs goals in, but he's been off the boil, I feel, for a wee while. But I think under Van Bronckhorst, he's looked really, really sharp again. And listen, Rangers got there. You know, it's a tough game for them, but I still think they've got enough to go up there to Pittodrie and get 3 points. Yeah,
there are players that are obviously on the African Cup of Nations duty. One of them starring at the moment. No surprise, Joe Aribo ripping it up there for Nigeria. They got a 3-1 win over Sudan the other day there.
Yeah, that could be a bad one for Rangers. You know, obviously there'll be a lot of scouts for other European clubs over there and England as well. They'll be looking at the stars who come out of that tournament as they always do, the big tournaments, and he is a star so far. And the further they go in that competition means that Rangers can't get a hold of him. So at the end of the fortnight, I would expect Rangers to have a bid on the table for somebody.
Yeah. Do you anticipate, I mean, James Sands has come in from the MLS. Do you anticipate much activity? Does he need to do anything with the advantage he's got and the way Rangers are playing, Alison?
I think you're always looking to do something. I don't think you want to bring in players for the sake of it, but I think if there's something there that suits both parties and you can bring a player in who enhances the squad that you've got, then I do think you will always have an eye on it. I think you'll always have a couple of targets for a few key positions and you'll be thinking about where you go. Obviously, John Souttar would be the big one that looks imminent. The Nathan Patterson one's interesting. I think it's a no-brainer for both parties, but you do think it now if James Tavernier ends up injured, there's maybe a few question marks over what the depth is on that side, but overall I think it's a very consistent squad. It's a squad that's been over the course over the last 18 months. I think it seems very steady. I thought Giovanni van Bronckhorst's arrival has been seamless. There's been no having to bed in or acclimatise to a new system. I think it's been very straightforward. There's been no bumps in the road, there's been no hiccups. I do wonder about Joe Aribo in the absence. I think he's key to Rangers in the middle of the park. I think he's a pivotal player, and it'll be interesting to see just how they cope without him.
Yeah, and the big bonus is the likes of Kemar Roofe, Philip Hollander and Ryan Jack all coming back now on the road after injuries. I think that's a real bonus. They're back in training. There's no Scott Arfield or Stephen Davis. They're going to miss out. But those three, I think, do play a part, especially in a starting 11.
Yeah, definitely. I think they're three big players, particularly Hollander. I think his partnership last season was exceptional at the back with him and Goldson. So I think to get him back would be key. Roofe is obviously a good backup, I think, for Morelos. Good competition for him, but just look at Rangers' squad. It's very, very strong. But I do agree that Aribo will be a miss. I think he's been Rangers' best player this season, so they'll miss that wee bit of creativity maybe in the final third. And it might be, Ryan Kent's got to step up, or a Scott Wright. Somebody's got to step up there and provide that wee spark.
Yeah, Suter pre-contracts, great for Rangers knowing that they've got the calibre of player coming in, Ruffy. But I think Graham Alexander mentioned at the tail end of last week, and a number of managers not happy with pre-contracts. Fans get miffed because you've got a player there is going elsewhere. Dundee United quickly ended any possibility of Tony Watt getting pelters for part. They've obviously decided we've got him in a pre-contract, but we'll get him in now. Would Rangers want to do that, or do you think they'll wait to the summer?
I think it all depends on what kind of money we're talking about. That there hasn't been a figure. I haven't seen a figure anywhere. What if they want him right now? They would have to assess that, because I do think Rangers will try and bring in another couple of people on loan. Just to strengthen what they've got. I don't know if they want to be shelling out X amount. At this precise moment in time. But it is a difficult one for players. Never ever happened to me. I don't know if it happened to Tam, but it's a stupid rule, because you're not going. Do you play them or not play them when you come up against the team that they're going to play in the league? Because people will go, oh, his mind's not going to be on it, and which way is he going to go?
You're getting a weekly wage, of course. You play.
It didn't happen to me, but it happened to Gary Caldwell when I was at Hibs. When I was at Hibs, Gary Caldwell signed for Celtic on a pre-contract, and I can remember the first time he ran out of Easter Road, he was getting absolute dogs abuse, and every time he got the ball he was getting booed for the Hibs supporters. And he played, I think he did play against Celtic that season, and he went to Celtic at the end of the year, but I can remember he did get a bit of stick off the fans.
So
I can imagine Suter getting a bit of abuse from the Hearts fans as well, but you've got to understand that these guys are going for 5-6 times their salary, and anybody that's sitting giving them abuse, I think every single person would take 5 times their salary, whether they're a joiner or a butcher or whatever they're doing. So they've got to take that into account, but I think they will get stick.
Do you like pre-contracts though? Is that something that you think is good for the game or should be stopped?
I just think it's part of the game now, since the Bosman era and stuff like that. When your contract's running down, you're within your rights, and your contractual rights to go and sign for another club, at the end of that season, and if you agree a deal, then so be it. But I still think that Rangers will want to get him in now. But Hearts are a third place at the minute. I don't think they'll be accepting pennies for him. They'll be wanting a substantial amount to let him go now.
Yeah, absolutely. And of course, you've got to replace a player of that.
Charlie was here. We could probably get a price on that.
if Charlie was here, I know. If Charlie was here, he would set the price and what he's worth in the transfer market. But he'll be with us on Wednesday to talk about Dundee and their performance on Tuesday. But as far as John Suter's concerned, I think Robbie Nielsen's happy about the decision.
We offered John a contract. He decided to turn it down, and the way the Bosman rules works nowadays, players can go and speak to people. So we knew he was speaking to clubs, and he's decided to go somewhere else. Obviously, we're very, very disappointed that he's decided to do that. But at the end of the day, the club is and always will be bigger than any one player.
Yeah, I don't think too many people will disagree with Robbie Nielsen, Alison, on the fact that the club is bigger than any one player. But I think, maybe fans are looking at the John Suter situation not so much on the fact that he's decided to go on a pre-contract, but the fact that the club stuck by him in tough times when he had those injuries. And then once he's injury-free, suddenly he's off. Can you understand the frustration?
I can understand it, but I think it's unfair, actually. That I read a few things on social media pertaining to that, and I think it's unfair because clubs would always treat a player. You know, he's been unfortunate enough to have sustained a serious injury 3 times, and the club have backed him as they would with any player. And I think it's just, this is football. I think if you have players who are performing at a decent level, doing it consistently, then it's inevitable that you have bigger clubs that come in and can offer greater resources and greater financial resources. I think it's part of the game. I feel for him. I think the pre-contract situation compromises players when there's a deal done within the league that you're playing in. I think it would be very difficult to go out. I'm sure he would be desperate now to be thinking, let's get a deal done that he can move to Rangers and start at the new chapter of his own career now. I think it's probably very difficult to keep your focus, and you're in a hiding to nothing in so many ways, because if you have a poor game, it's going to be because you're distracted by a move, or you're protecting yourself, or you don't want to get injured. I think it's very, very difficult.
Yeah.
Clubs can't have it both ways, Peter. You know, in terms of, there's no loyalty in football. I remember I was at Dundee and we get relegated into the Championship, and myself and Lee Wilkie were the 2 of the highest earners there, and Alec Ray came in with Davy Farrell, and he says, listen, you two, you need to take a 60% wage cut, and the 2 refused. So we were training with the kids. You know, I had to travel up to Dundee every morning myself. You know, I ran round the pitch. You know, they kept trying to sicken me until I left.
Yeah.
So, you know, in terms of that, when clubs don't want a player, you know, they can shun them and do it and treat them poorly. And then obviously now, so I don't think you can have it both ways. There's no loyalty in football.
Yeah, because we're friends, do you want me to boot Alec at the 5s while I wait?
Yes.
And just bide my time?
I'd like you 2-footer him. No, it wasn't him. It was coming for the board.
Yeah,
the board were wanting readies and whatever, so he was just following.
Let me tell you, Alec would 2-footer me back. There'll be no doubt about that. Anyway, so will Rangers stump up the money in this transfer window to get Suter in now? Would you like to see your team do that? You can give us your view as well. You're watching Peter and Ruffy's football show on PLZ Soccer's YouTube channel. Don't forget to hit the subscribe button and the notifications and stick with us. And the good news is, if you download the app, you get all the latest breaking news right across the country, down in the English Premier League, European and world football. And you can also watch on the app the football show at your leisure if you miss it live at 4 o'clock on any given day. So we'd love you to join us for that. Download the app in Google Play and in the App Store. As far as Aberdeen Rangers is concerned, I don't think we've got the predictions. I've got Rangers to win this one. Aberdeen 1, Rangers 2.
Yeah, I went the same. I think Rangers will edge it 2-1.
Yeah. Ruffy?
And me, I went 2-1 as well. Yeah.
Oh, you just hedge betting, yeah? Ali?
I went for a draw.
Oh, did
Actually,
you?
I
On Blue Monday.
I just have I just think it might be quite a difficult night for Rangers tomorrow night.
Yeah, I'm glad you said that, Ali, because suddenly, Ruffy, there are certain moments when you get the predictor where you think, I can get back. There's another 3 points I could maybe get back on Ali.
Alison and Hugh are letting their heart rule their head. They're just going to go like that.
Hugh, I don't think Hugh's picked Rangers to win in about 3 months. But nevertheless, Ali, you're out in front, so I'm quite happy for you to have that condescending face that you've had since August.
Much practice.
Absolutely, your husband and your kids have told me about that. Anyway, that's John Suter, that's Rangers. Hearts, of course, are up against St Johnstone. I mean, St Johnstone, 9-game run without a win in the league, it's just misery. If Hearts are looking for a team to play to boost the confidence, it's coming now.
Yeah, but we knew Callum Davison would be working overtime in this window. You know, he definitely needs to bring a lot of fresh faces in there. I think he's had enough of what he's been watching and the standards that they have set before. He wants to get back there. It's a turn of the year. You know, he'll be looking at it and going, right, we need to get back to where we were, but it's not the ideal place to go, you know, to start that.
Yeah, and the other aspect of it that I think is a sideshow that's particularly annoying is Xander Clark. There's all this, is he going, is he not, is he staying, you know. Never mind the fact that the back line can't keep a clean sheet, which is something you associated with St Johnstone last season.
Yeah, they've been a shadow of themselves this season. I think last year, you know, winning the 2 cups, you know, they were a hard team to break down and beat. I think this season it's been the total opposite. They're struggling to score goals. They can't keep clean sheets. You know, they're at the bottom of the league. I don't see them getting into Tynecastle. You know, but Xander Clark is a big one for them. There's rumours about Aberdeen now in a pre-contract. So I know they had a 6-figure bid turned down for, is it lad Paul Dees at Inverness, centre back. So they're obviously looking to spend a few quid and strengthen to try and keep themselves in the division. So, but I don't see them getting into Tynecastle tomorrow night. I think I've went for 2-0 to Hearts.
Yeah, it's interesting what calibre of player and the type of player that he's going to have to try and recruit. I mean, I was talking to some of our staff in there about the possibility of if Dundee suddenly cut the umbilical cord with Lee Griffiths and said they weren't going to take him on, I would go for him just out of sheer desperation for scoring goals and doing something. They need to do something. They need to get goal scorers, you know, and they need to get people that can lock that back door again.
Yeah, and I think they've really missed Ali McCann. I think you sort of missed the presence of him, but I think it becomes very precarious now at this point of the season because the last thing you need is to get cut adrift at the bottom. I think at least if you can bring in some fresh blood, a few faces, just anything even that can lift people round about them. And I think what they really do need is maybe just a wee bit of experience, a couple of experienced heads to try and get them out of where they are.
I'm curious to see the type of player he's going to sign, but the funny thing is, I mentioned there, I don't know about you, Tom, but I always like to notice a move in his face, but when I mentioned if Dundee were going to cut the umbilical cord on Griffiths, there was a smirk on his face, which leads me to believe, are Thistle hovering, waiting?
No, I don't know what the manager's sort of thinking, but if...
there it is.
As a player...
Write it down.
I mean, there's St Johnson are hovering about Zach Rudden, you know, that would be a massive blow for us if he was to go. I would think if Lee Griffiths got his act together and came into the Championship, I think he would score goals, you know, but I don't know what financial money's involved with that. I mean, we know he's getting a payoff for Celtic, so maybe at some stage he has to say, right, money's not important, that I need to get back scoring goals.
Yeah, lots of people with their thoughts on that. Peter Tell Ruffy says, Hugh Scott, that Zach Rudden to St Johnson, if he's worried about where he's going, it looks as if you know, he's thinking it's going to happen to St Johnstone. Bob says St Johnstone will come good, but Dundee are doomed. So there's all sorts of speculation on where Zach's going to end up. I think there's a figure though.
Motherwell as well.
There's a figure, but there is sort of add-ons here and money there and compensation and all that stuff hovering about. So
sounding like a Ronaldo deal, this.
No, it's going to be the best. But no, I think our club have decided it's going to be the best deal for us and for the player as well. You know, we want to make sure he's okay.
Yeah, sure, Ruffy, sure. There speaks a director.
Just running on the track until he goes.
Yeah, anyway, I've got the Jambos to win 2-0.
2-0 for me.
Yeah,
2-0.
2-0, I think.
You've got it. Ali, what about yourself?
I can't
draw?
remember if I've got 2-0 or 2-1.
I hope you've got a draw, Ali. Let's have a look and see what you actually posted.
2-1 against St Johnstone.
Oh, Hearts 2, St Johnstone 1. Well done, Ali. Okay, you're sticking with us on this. Dundee United against St Mirren. I think, you know, I actually, I don't know what you think about it, but right now, I think that Dundee United have really landed a player at the top of his game in Tony Watt. I mean, it's good that they got him in early, I think.
They needed it. I think before the break they were on free fall. You know, I seen them against Hibs before they had a few players missing, but poor. I think Tony Watt be a big signing for them. I think they're missing that. I think Mark McNulty's his way back from injury as well. They're missing goals in their team. So I think if Tony Watt, you know, there's rumours of him signing today possibly.
Yeah.
Would they throw him in tomorrow night? You know, who knows? You know, I think he's fit and ready to go. So,
well, Graham Alexander mentioned it this morning that it's, you know, medical pass. It's all but putting your signature on the.
I think you'd play tomorrow. Then I think you'd play him. So I think he's.
No reason why not. He's fit. He's had a break.
I'd be hiding the pens and the paper to the next day.
Yeah, well, that's the other thing. The thing about it is...
Can't find a contract, could you wait a day?
Motherwell pulled out all the stops, Ruffy. Here's the big dilemma, and I don't know if we've got the exact figures on it, but Motherwell pulled out all the stops and offered him a hefty rise to stay. And the general feeling was he was maybe looking between 6 and 8 grand a week. Now, Tony Watt, I think, like every footballer, you want to go and earn as much money as you possibly can because you want to protect your family. That is the be-all and end-all here. But are United playing that sort of money? I mean, I know there was people actually flinching when they were paying Lawrence Shanklin 5 grand a week, which was big bucks for United. So you just wonder if they're shelling that out again for a player of his calibre.
Well, they have been doing it for the last 2 or 3 years, you know, that, and it has been noted that financially they're not in a good position because of what they're doing. But sometimes you've got to make these decisions. You know, do we have to spend that kind of money to stay in the Premiership? Because, as I've told you before, as soon as you drop out of that Premiership into the Championship, you're nearly £1 million down in everything that effectively you get in the Premiership. So they might just say, right, we need to keep throwing it at it to stay in here, because if we don't, we're going to end up in the Championship.
The only thing is, they just sold the young lad, is it Keir Smith?
Yeah.
Which is obviously
from
facilitated.
So I think they got a few quid for that. Maybe that was in the background bubbling away, and you think, well, we're going to get money from that boy. We'll give something to Tony Watt and get him in. So
yeah, it's a good point actually, because when you look at it, 5 defeats in the last 6 league games, Ali, they are in, as Tam mentioned, free fall. But I didn't see them being one of those teams that I thought they might be in free fall, but I didn't see them going all the way down suddenly to a St Johnstone
and I think
level.
they were hit with all the COVID issues too. They were at Ibrox and they had to play a team full of kids because they had been decimated. Actually thought they played quite well that day. A couple of the young players did particularly well. But they've had they'd had a very strong start to the season and then fell away a bit. I'm sure Tony Watt would be identified as a player that can just maybe turn a couple of those draws into a win or pick up points where they were dropping points. But Tony Watt's been exceptional this season. I think he's been in the form of his life the last 6 months, last season too. If there was any surprise for me, it was just that he went to Dundee United. I had wondered maybe a bit of move south. I wondered if there might be a Championship side lurking about, but
Yeah.
I think it's a good move for Dundee United. I think he'll score goals there.
Yeah, and of course the other thing about it, you've always got to read between the lines, Ruffy. When he was in here, he said that his wife has a good job, they're settled in the area, their family's happy. So I always got the feeling it was going to be a Scottish club. I've got them to win 2-0. Even though, I mean, I look at St Mirren and I'm a big fan of Jim Goodwin, but it's 11 games without a win. They're 9th in the table.
Yeah, I struggled over this one, but I think I went for a home win because I think this is my midweek theory, that there's a result always pops up you don't expect.
What, you don't expect Dundee United to beat?
No, I would. My surprise would be St Mirren beat Dundee United.
Have you got St Mirren to beat Dundee United?
No, I've got Dundee United to beat St Mirren.
just said there.
I said I had a debate about what way I was going to go here,
Yeah.
because I know in midweek games there'll be a result.
Yeah.
There'll be a result. That
Throwing
will
balls in there.
That will all go. How did that happen?
There's just a train crash.
No,
If there's
that's
people
the way I'm look. That's the way I look at it. When we sit down after the games, there'll be a result that will all go, oh, I didn't see that coming.
Yeah.
So you think it could have been St Mirren, but you have not put St Mirren?
No.
No, you put Dundee United. What have you gone? 2-1?
Still in the
2-1.
Christmas
2-1. What about yourself, Ali?
I can't remember
2-1.
actually. I think I went 2-1.
2-1 United.
2-1 United for me as well.
Yeah, okay. Okay, the downside to all of that, I know, Ali, I know. Listen, if there's somebody out there who's writing down things thinking, Ruffy's been to 3 World Cups, I'll write down what he's saying, and then they go, no, I'll just not bother. Ross County against Motherwell, and now, again, you know, Motherwell suddenly have to look and think to themselves, we've got to try and get players in, got to try and, you know, stay up that top half of the table.
Yeah, I think it's a big blow for Motherwell to lose Tony Watt. I think he's been a big part of their success this season. I think they're sitting 4th in the league. So they've had a great start to the season. Graham Alexander, I think, over the calendar year, has done an exceptional job at Fir Park. So they'll be a blow, but they'll be looking at their contacts down south. You know, still a couple of weeks left. They'll be looking to try and replace his goals.
They've got Liam Shaw on a loan from Celtic, which I think is a good bit of business.
Yeah, yep, they've got him in loan. So, but I think at the top end of the park they'll be looking to try and. I think they signed Jordan Roberts from Hearts on a permanent. I think he'll give them a bit of spark up front. He's got good pace, but they'll be looking for somebody to get them 10 goals between now and the end of the season and replace Watt.
Yeah, and Ross County, this is the time when, between now and the end of the month, this is when Roy McGregor usually sits down with any manager you care to mention. It'll be Malky and say, okay, what's going to keep us in this division?
Well, he's using all his contacts. He's down in England. He's anybody he's identified. He's trying to get them up, and that's what, I think that's the way he sees it ahead. But that's a big loss for them. The boy going to Hibs. You know, I think he was a good player.
Very good.
I think they'll still be thereabouts. I can't separate the two of them. I've went for a draw. I think.
Yeah, I've gone 1-1, Ali.
I think Motherwell might win it
Yeah.
tomorrow night. I think I've gone Motherwell 2-1.
I've went for a Tam Cowan.
Yeah?
Yep.
Your draw?
1-1.
1-1, yeah, absolutely. Livingston against Dundee. Charlie's heading up there now. To get to the game.
On the bus. On a bus. It's
to get to
an
the
express.
game. There's no sympathy in this studio, to be honest with you. But it's one of It's one of those games that you wouldn't. It's a hard one. It's a tough one to call. I looked at it and I thought to myself, Livingston, who have tipped to get relegated, I still think they'll be there or thereabouts, but they're defying us at the moment.
Oh, I was like Ruffy on his St Mirren Dundee one. I wrote down about 2 or 3 different scores here. I just couldn't get in my head. Then I just thought, I just fancy Livingston at home on that pitch.
Yeah.
They've got the big lad Newbley back from Arbroath. I think it was lit it up there for Dick Campbell. He's back in. I'm sure they signed somebody else, another striker as well. Off the top of my head, can't remember who it was, but I think Livingston will beat Dundee. I fear for Dundee, I really do. I think if Griffiths leaves, obviously he's going to leave, and I fear for them. I think Livingston 2-1.
Yeah, I've got Livingston just to edge at 1-0, but not a game I'd be buying on DVD, to be honest with you, Ruffy.
Nope, I've sat in the fence in this one. I've went 1 each.
Yeah. Ali?
1 each, I think, too.
Yeah, sticking on this one as a draw. That's the place where we can. I think that's the place where we can make up the numbers on this one. Tam Cowan is obviously now joined us as part of the fraternity. Gabriel's gone to pastures new. We have to mention it now because he was such a good lad for us. And at PLZ Soccer, he's one of the valuable members of the team. He's dropped from the 5s. He's been bumped from the 11-a-side team, which is only right and proper. But he's gone on to Radio Clyde, and we wish him the best of luck.
No, we do. Gab's is a terrific guy. A great young reporter. Probably one of the best that I've seen. So I wish him all the best at Clyde. What I won't miss is he's cheating at the predictor because it was me and him at the bottom every week, and he would always wait until I put my scores in, and he would just copy them. I was behind him, and he knew if he copied my scores, I could never catch him. Yeah. So we cheat, Gabs, but wish you all the best, pal.
Yeah, absolutely. And of course, Ruffy, with signings going out, there's always signings to come in. Is that fair?
Yeah, there certainly is, and obviously we're all waiting in anticipation. Yeah, we've been speaking about players moving and coming and going and that, so we'll just have to see what.
Ruffy, you've come up with a short list, have you?
Can I tell you something? I mean, honestly, we do look to obviously strengthen the side all the time and bring on new people. The one thing I would say though, Ruffy, if Jim Leighton walks through that door, his bottle will crash.
If Jim Leighton walks through that door, usually will be out of here and all after half an hour.
You are a moron, you really are. Anyway, apart from anything else, Livingston Dundee, I think I've got them to edge it by a 1-0. Have we got the predictor? I wonder if we've got the latest state of play on it. Yes, we have. Alison on 185. I'm tucked in nicely, just 8 points behind on 177. Ruffy's just 2 behind me, and then there's a huge gap to Tam McManus on 166. Tam Cowan has taken Gabriel's number of 156, and there's Hugh McDonald at the bottom on 153. And I think,
will he start picking Rangers to win?
I was just about to say, surely to God, Hugh.
Will his stubbornness cost him?
Surely to God, Hugh.
Has he got a draw? What has he got for Aberdeen?
What has he got for Rangers? What has he got for Rangers? He's got Aberdeen 1, Rangers 1.
I love it.
Game run, he can't predict
if Rangers hit a brick wall of it, they're on trouble.
Yeah, absolutely. Listen, that is... it's all about opinions, to be perfectly honest with you. And talking of opinions, can you believe it? Who would be on the Everton board, Ruffy, right now? Rafa sacked after the most miserable run of all time, and now they're looking at possibly Roberto Martinez. There are a few other names being mooted as Wayne Rooney, Graham Potter, or Duncan Ferguson himself.
Yeah, it's a strange one for the young Rangers boy to go there, and then you lose the manager. It's. I'm not saying it's going to worry him, but certainly.
When he puts his PIN number in.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
I think Nathan will be all right down there.
Yeah, but Benitez is great. I mean, he thanks everybody. He's only been there, 5 months? Everybody's wonderful.
Big payoff.
Supporters are lovely. I love the board. I love the place. Give me my dosh.
He'll pop up at Valencia or something, a couple of years, won't he? Some Italian team or something.
I just wonder, I mean, there are some times that I think clubs suddenly become a poison chalice when you join them. And one of them that springs to mind all the time is if you decide to take the Sunderland job, you're on a hiding to nothing, because I think subsequent boards have just let the manager down consistently. Everton, since Martinez, have had, I think, 5 managers. It just hasn't worked out. Yeah,
it's an intriguing one. I think Duncan Ferguson, for me, I think at some point he's got to have a crack at it, surely. You think you're there and round about it so often. At what point do you maybe get it, even if it's on an interim basis to the end of the season. And
there's a
and see
great
if it
job,
works.
Ali, being an assistant though. I don't know about
Well,
you, but see if you get the right figure that's and a salary that's just you're on the coattail of the manager.
My big mate Stuart Taylor, he was Paul Lambert's assistant. He went from Aston Villa to Wolves to Blackburn to Ipswich. Oh, he was like rolling in it.
It's
Every
fantastic.
time Lambert get the bullet, he got another job as well in the pay up.
It must be strange in an office when your assistant and the manager gets sacked and they're clearing their dress out and you're like, I'll catch you later, okay? You don't come in? No, see me.
I mean, it's absolutely incredible. The whole thing is amazing if you're an assistant. Maybe Duncan Ferguson, he's had plenty of opportunities to put himself forward, so he's clearly said to them no. But nevertheless...
When we went down to see Nazy,
yeah.
it's massive, Everton.
Oh, Everton
It's
is a huge
massive,
club.
it's huge. The store, the training ground, the stadium, it's just... And even the history about the club and everything, I just don't think they've spent enough when you see other teams run about them. No, quality players that have lasted 2 or 3 years.
They've wasted a lot of money, but
Yeah, I know.
Listen, I mean, I'm aghast that he said that because they have signed players on colossal wages. I
the
mean,
boy
James,
Iwobi as well.
Oh, James Rodriguez, a waste of space.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, they signed a few duds.
That's what I'm saying, duds, but nobody that's...
They've spent money, they've just not spent it particularly well.
Yeah, absolutely. But the problem now is trying to steady the
Graham
ship.
Potter would be a great shout. I think he's a tremendous manager.
I agree with you.
At Brighton, they played brilliant football.
And
I think
talking
he's
of
tremendous.
assistants, we can just
Wee
sit
Billy.
in the background, wee Billy Reid. There he is, in there in the background. Good football knowledge, great lad.
Actor. Actor.
How?
He's an actor. Billy Reid, yeah, he's been in films and that. He puts his forward for...
Billy Reid, assistant manager.
Uh-huh. Yeah?
Yeah, you look it up, we'll be finished.
Honestly,
I think it makes like Billy Elliot there.
No,
did you?
I'm just wondering. I was thinking, so where are you going with
He's
this,
been in a
Ruffy?
few films,
Yeah,
he's
has
been in
he?
a few films, he's put himself up there to be in a few films. He fancies himself as a would-be actor.
Yeah, oh well, there you are. Ruffy's got us now looking for Billy Reid in films, but he's certainly enjoyed himself.
Oh, Billy Reid, I thought...
Just before we go, John McGinn, speculation that maybe Man United, again, it won't go away. What a move that would be.
Oh, Hibs are desperate. Hibs are desperate.
I know, would Stephen Gerrard sell John McGinn?
No, but he would if it was 50 million. And Hibs are, I think, due 10 or 15%. I think that Ron Gordon and Ben Kensel at Hibs will be begging, please,
Yeah.
please don't stay Aston Villa the rest of your career.
Is McGinn good enough to beat United?
Yes. Yes, for me. Yep.
Yeah.
I see some of the boys they've got in the middle of the park. Fred, Matic. I think he's better than him. I think he's a better player than McTominay. So for me, McGinn would go in and play.
Yeah, I agree with you. I think he's a fabulous player.
Completely agree.
Yeah.
Yep. And I think he's added to his game over the last season and a half. I think he's developed his game. I think there's more maturity about it. I think, without question, I think he could go on.
Yeah, any time I've seen him down in England, some of the big names he's come up against, held his own and more, you know, and the confidence he seems to have now, you know, he's not fazed by anybody he's playing against. He just goes out and does what John McGinn does.
Yeah, just before we go, just ahead of Christmas time, we all picked our dream teams. Tam, were you happy with the 11 that you? I might as well give you pelters now. We've all picked our dream teams. I picked my Liverpool dream 11 because Ali had snuck in and picked her Celtic one. But from your own point of view, are you happy with yours? You played with Gaza, and he wasn't even in your dream 11.
I forgot about him. I can't believe I forgot about him. I can't believe it.
How can you not pick Gaza?
Disappointed in that, but
I mean, would I allow
I've seen him at the tail end of his career. He was finished. It just
Wasn't he finished when he came up with Rangers? I
no.
thought he was super.
But he got him.
Oh, after
He was
that,
about 35,
you get him in
36.
Derry or something like that. Did something in England.
Boston United.
Boston United.
Aye.
Yeah, but you've got his top, haven't you?
I've got his last ever senior strip. He gave it to me after he played. I can't remember the team he played, and he came out and he said, "There you go, wee man. I've had enough. I'm chucking it." And I've never seen him again.
Is that right?
Never seen him again.
Well, I have to tell you, I mean, a wonderful player. I would have put him in, Tam.
I know. I should have. I forgot about it.
Yeah, and out of your team that you remember, who was the star man? Was it Soze for you?
Yeah, Frank Soze. Probably for me was the best player I ever played with. But Kasper Schmeichel was never a bad keeper as well.
Yeah, it was a good 11. I think out of all of ours, Ali, I mean, I looked at your side rippling with a fair bit of talent, but Ruffy, yours would have taken some beating. I mean, you had Zico on your side. I mean, what a dream team that you put out there.
I would have thought Zico and George Best would have, you know, held their own on my side, along with Souness and Dalglish and Danny and the rest of them, yeah.
It's an incredible. I think yours is possibly the strongest out of them all, although I did have Dalglish in my all-time Liverpool dream team with Keegan and Rush. I might have given you a run for your money, to be honest with you. And Ali, you were happy with that Dream 11 Celtic players. Although I did have to remind you, I have to remind you of Lubomir Moravcik. I thought he wasn't even going to get a game in your team.
No, I think he was in.
Yeah, he's in.
Yeah, he was in. Yeah. No, I think I was fairly happy with my. Just refresh my memory. It was players that you had seen.
Yeah.
And watched you. No,
Players
no,
that
I
you'd
was
seen.
happy
in
with
it?
that.
Amido Baldi?
No, they weren't in it either. No. Jim Dobbin didn't make it.
Wayne Biggins?
Yeah, Wayne Biggins, there's another one.
Can we
Paul
remember
Slater.
any of the players that Hugh picked for his Rangers team? No.
No, I didn't. I have to tell you, Hugh picked his all-time favourite 11 in the Scotland team, and they were good going. The 11 that he picked as well. If you want to see the dream teams, you can get it on PLZ Soccer's YouTube channel. There's a one-to-one with Gordon Strachan as well. We'll be downloading that as a podcast for you to listen to as well, if you want to catch up with it. Gordon Strachan talking through his playing career and his management career, and of course the pain of what he wanted to achieve for Scotland as well. It's a great listen. I mean, he's absolutely top drawer. There's a lot more one-to-ones coming. There's dream teams, there's special one-off games, and of course, as ever with PLZ Soccer, we always like to make the odd signing here and there. So keep it locked to PLZ Soccer. Subscribe to the YouTube channel. If you download the app, it's fairly straightforward. It is there, and as soon as you download it, you can quickly, with a bit of luck, download the app, and you get all the latest breaking football news as well in Scotland, England, and across Europe and world football too. And you can watch the football show on the PLZ Soccer app. In fact, I was wondering where I'd left it there. There it's there, and all you have to do is hit the menu, and if you hit the menu and you quickly get to submissions, you can actually write a message to us on the programme and we can react to it as well, or you can even record yourself with a point of view on your favourite team. And if you do record a video in submissions and it drops into us and we use it on the show, we'll send you out something nice. Lots more competitions on the way. Thanks to Tam, great to see him. Thanks to Alan Ruff, Alison McConnell, and for myself, Peter Martin. Thank you for watching.